let's have I Wish Corner for the next 20 minutes.
I wish I were a little bit taller.
And a baller.
Oh, no, you're not too young for that. Great.
No, I fucking love that song.
Anyway, so are we ready to jump into this bullshit?
There's your intro.
All right, great. Michelle, do you want to do this, or do you want me to?
You go for it.
Okay.
There's something in the air.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to There's Something in the Air, a spoiler-filled Wynonna Earp podcast. I am one of your hosts, Monica, and I am joined, as always, except when we don't, by BP and Michelle. BP is coming to you live from her car today, so her audio quality is maybe a little off, but the content quality will still be on point.
Spot on. Also, I love that you just said live when it's really like 3 weeks from now.
I mean, we're live right now. We're not robots. This week, we are going to be talking about episode 109, which is named something.
Bury Me With My Guns On.
Bury Me With My Guns On, which is the episode where just a bunch of shit happened. It's a really good episode. Like, all of them are good, but this is where things in season 1, I think, really start to heat up. Before we get into talking about that, I just wanted to do some housekeeping. First of all, I would like to give a big thank you and shout out to Earp Fiction Addiction, which is a podcast about Wynonna Earp fan fiction. They featured us as their reverse sponsor for their episode this week. If you are into fan fiction and you like Wynonna Earp, I don't know why you wouldn't like Wynonna Earp if you are listening to this podcast. Definitely give them a listen. It's I listened for the first time this week. It's really good. They talked about 4 stories that were ranch AUs. They did not talk about Hot on a Horse. That's its own episode, I think. But if that's your thing, give them a listen. It was really, really good. I enjoyed myself, and they also interviewed one of the authors. So many thanks to you guys for that shout out. And we also wanted to say a special thank you for the 2 people who designed our logos and a lot of the stuff in our shop. So thank you, Chantal and Sam, for those designs. We also have a new design that came out last week, I think, and it is a Lesbian design. Many thanks to Sam for designing that. There was a little bit of back and forth on that, so very many thanks to you for your patience with that and for coming up with such an awesome design. And we also wanted to say thanks to Deb Snyder for our theme song. And we also, which you may have noticed last week, have some new jingles. So a lot of thanks to Jen for that.
Man, we have a lot of support. These people are awesome.
These people are awesome. And all of our patrons, like, I'm continually blown away by the fact that we have people who pay to listen to this drivel. Like, we just basically get on a call and shout about something that we like for an hour, and people are like, "Yeah, man, that's our jam," which is really cool.
Yeah, because we're just like basically recording our phone calls, but sometimes it sounds a little bit better than a phone call. Although right now I'm just literally on a phone call.
Opal agrees.
Opal is having a lot of feelings. She got a look at the picture of the shirt that. Who made it? Was it Ghost Stick Figure Me? Made an Opal fan shirt. Oh,
it's super cool.
Yeah, I think it's insane that my dog has a fan base.
I mean, it's a long time coming, really. All right, so you want to talk about the actual fucking show now for a while?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack with this one. Like, everything happened.
Everything happened.
It's overwhelming, kind of. Like, there's like, you usually have like an A story and a B story. I think there's like up to D on this one. There's a lot going on.
And they're all like good, in my opinion. Because like you have your ABC storylines, and normally like the later ones are like, well, okay, I get like why it was there, but it wasn't great. All of these I love.
No, I agree. I mean, So I'm watching this, and my first note is whoever does the previously on segments for this show is really good at it. Like, they packed a lot of shit into 30 seconds. And I was just really impressed. Like, oh yeah, like they really just, I don't know. It was really informative and compact and lovely. So special shout out to whoever that is, who probably doesn't listen to this podcast.
That's like everyone we shout out to, that's now their last name.
Who doesn't
Like-
listen to our podcast.
Yeah, like Emily, who doesn't listen to our podcast, and Dominique, who doesn't listen to our podcast. Like, that's just them.
I meant to mention this during housekeeping, but we do have a name change to announce. Our friend Angie, who doesn't listen to our podcast, now listens to our podcast. And so does her wife, Belinda, who tweeted about us this week as well. So we'll have to come up. I told them we'd come up with new nicknames for them at Klexicon. So perhaps by the time you're listening to this, you already are familiar with them both. Okay. So we open on Winona, like, getting her whiskey on. This is the night that Alice or day, I don't know when that happened, that Alice Michelle was conceived, or that she thought. This is the day that she slept with the Revenant, right?
I believe so.
Yes, in theory.
At least the way that they cut it together.
Right, because when she was like, oh yeah, shorties wouldn't even serve me anymore, and they showed that, some of the footage from this episode of her drinking and doing shots.
Well, given that they didn't plan the pregnancy before, it was really great to go back to this and, like, kind of draw that storyline out. I didn't know if they ever intended to just, like, go back and say she slept with a Revenant, like, for some other purpose, but it was neat that they utilized that, and pulled a thread that they already had.
No, I agree, and maybe that was never the intention. Who knows? Maybe she, they just wanted to show her getting stupid drunk, and the fact that she was able to recover without being hungover. I mean, I have 2 beers and I'm hungover the next day. It's quite impressive. But they, and we've talked about this before, that they've set up a lot of things that could be nothing, or could be, the whole key to the 7th season. We have no idea.
They're just really good at keeping track of what track they do lay, so that they can go back and, like, oh, Winona slept with a Revenant, sure, and, like, have the footage for it and everything. Like, the way that they tied that together was really, really good.
It was. I'm excited to talk about that episode. I'm excited to talk about season 2 as well. Although I also like the back half of this season, because we have all the exposition, and now's when shit starts to happen. I'm super excited to talk about all of these. So we
finally recognize. Sorry.
No, we were going to talk about the same thing, Pete.
Yeah. I would like to nominate him for that bitch this episode.
I think the only one who would give him a run for his money is Dolls.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Maybe there are 2 that bitches.
Yeah.
I like that they keep bringing him back. Like, I don't know, and we've talked about that before, and we see him again in the finale. But I like it. I like that a lot. And, like, Winona dancing with that dude in the Carpe Diem shirt. Like, thank God that's not Alice Michelle's dad. Ugh, gross.
Oh, man.
I think I'd rather the Revenant. One of my favorite lines in this episode, and maybe in the series, one of my friends, I tweeted about it, and one of my friends from college was like, I think that's my favorite line in the entire 2 seasons so far, is when Doc says she ain't anybody's but her own.
Yep. I wrote that down on the notes I left at home.
Oh, good. Well, you couldn't reference them anyway because you're driving.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm glad you picked up on it, because I couldn't remember exactly what he said, but it's like, I only wrote down like 4 things and, wanted to kind of be off the cuff otherwise, but that was just awesome. And it's amazing for someone like him to say something like that.
He's very, I guess he had a lot of time to think about shit when he was in the well. I made 43 notes on this, if anyone was curious. I just happened to look. They're on the drive.
So a note per minute?
Yeah, exactly. I actually watched it at home and not while I was doing 17 other things. So I think that helped. I really liked the scene where Doc drew his knife on Pete, and Pete was immediately like, "Okay, never mind."
Pete's a moron, but he's not that dumb.
Right. And Doc has another really good line, I think, in this when he says, "You release the rage, you might find there's nothing left." And I think that's, I don't know, that is representative of a lot of characters on this show. I think there's a fear if they let go of this thing that they're angry about and that they're chasing, like, what do they have left then?
That's such a realistic concept as well. That's not just character driven. Like, there's been times in my own life when that's been true, and many others that I know of, and that it hit a little bit too close to home, honestly.
Well, and I think you can substitute a lot of other words for rage as well. Like, well, if you decide to just let this one thing go, then who are you? Like, I've had anxiety about this thing for, the last 6 months. And if you decide that you just don't care anymore, like, who cares if this person doesn't like you or these people leave you out or this, who cares if they do that? I don't know, like, after you let that go, it's like, well, who am I anymore? I was so focused on that. And now what do I have to focus on?
Yeah,
No, you're absolutely right.
That theme hits super close to home too. And I was like when he said that line, I was just kind of like, ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes you feel like a little squirmy.
Yeah, a little uncomfortable.
A little squirmy.
The one note that I took on this episode before I got too distracted by the episode, I just wrote hair porn in all caps. It's the only thing I had written down.
The hair porn is amazing, and I don't know why anyone else would ever try and do hair porn after this. Like, it will pale in comparison.
Not even worth trying.
Not even. Not even.
If you're gonna write one thing down, I vote for that.
Opal has a lot of feelings about hair porn, and I like that.
Seems like she really, like, for the Hundy Spiral episode, I had to cut so much Opal audio out. Like, I'm a little concerned that she's just gonna take over.
It's cute that you think she already hasn't. This is Opal's podcast now, everyone.
Let me live in denial.
Hello, and welcome to Opal in the Air. I thought it was really amusing. Like, this show has so many overarching themes, and it's so deep sometimes, and really makes you think and makes you squirmy. But also sometimes it does little stupid shit, like the one Revenant obviously liking Taylor Swift. Like, it's yes. So stupid and so tiny, but I really liked it. I was like, all right, yeah, and I like Taylor Swift too. It's one of my secrets. But I just thought it was really cute. Like a little, I don't know, just a little silly throwaway line. It was amusing.
Or maybe Taylor Swift is going to be in season 7. You don't know yet.
It's true. Maybe Taylor Swift is a Revenant. Then how could she leave the Ghost River Triangle? All right, you heard it here first, guys. Taylor Swift is not a Revenant.
I was going to say, I feel like calling Taylor Swift a Revenant is like shots fired.
No, it's okay. Plus, she's not.
Is it way shots fired?
Yes.
No.
Someone needs to make that design, by the way. We need a way shot design.
Calling all of our graphically inclined human listeners, or non-human, Opal, if you want to make it, you can.
What difference does it make?
BP super wants a way shot design, which is Waverly and her shotgun. So that would be super awesome. And as you can tell from the beginning of this podcast, if you do something for us like that, you get a horribly awkward shout out randomly at times. So can you really put a price on that? You
can. Say free is pretty much the price on that.
But like, can you put a price on how it makes you feel inside? No. I really like Constance Clutie with the Uzi in front of the barn.
That was amazing. Like, that's not what you expect her to pull out, her wand,
I forgot how much I love her as like she's just like such a great like slightly like detached from reality deranged villain.
She really
She's
is.
so great. She's so great, and I like how she started. I like. There's so much I forgot, right? And I'm sure we mention this all the time, but I watched this like pretty much once all the way through. There's definitely scenes that I've seen, more than once. But as far as like the completeness of season one, it's really like a one-time watch through. And so to go back and realize, especially with the information from season two, of hearing her being like, that was my husband, and I can tell you why you're cursed, and let me explain everything, and it's all about Wyatt, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, dang.
It also makes you realize, with knowing everything from season two, like how much people leave out when they're talking, like especially Doc. Doc had way more knowledge than he acted like at all to anybody. And it just adds interesting depth to his character. And I think he's a good dude. And I love him, but also, there's no black and white in this show. Only shades of gray.
He's competing pretty hard, though, at the end of this episode for, like, just being a dick and three quarters.
That's fair.
His journey in this episode is awesome because, like, he's not, like, all good, all bad. And, like, you see him trying to, like, delicately navigate the waters to, like, get what he wants. Like turning on Winona and then turning on Bobo and basically turning on everybody wherever it fit.
The journey itself has like a good bit of volatility, which is interesting.
But then, after he betrays everyone, he asks for safe passage for him and his women. I was just like, oh please, oh please. Those women could kill you in like a second and a half.
Well, like when he like Winona turns to him and he's like, women.
Yes.
Because that was my exact reaction to
it. Speaking of Winona, dude, her walking into the station in those pants with that coffee, like, holy shit.
I don't know why, but like for some reason it really reminds me, or maybe it's just like the strut in in Easy A, when she does like that, basically that exact strut when she puts the A on her clothes, like that attitude, like it reminds me of so much of that.
I did not see that movie.
Me either.
Oh, come on.
I think I saw the first 20 minutes, maybe. I don't know. I'm bad at movies. I just like, I'm a feminist and I try not to objectify women, but holy shit. And in addition to her looking amazing, like it just really, I don't know, like she walks in there and she has a purpose. She's like, okay, I, let out some steam, so to speak, last night. She's there. She's ready to get shit done. Like, all right, now let's get the next 7. And she is ready. She is ready. She's accepted her role as the heir, and she's ready to keep fighting this curse. And then that bitch, Dolls, betrays her. I realize
at the same time, though, at the same time as her being like, yay, I've embraced everything, there's also like an element, though, of like sadness and hopelessness underneath it, because she had to come up with something to like be able to cope, so it's like, okay, cool, let's take all the rest of them down like as fast as we can, because I can't confront my own demons.
Yeah, I like she's pulled herself as together as she can, given like the state of please stop. Given the state of like where her life is, like she doesn't feel better after killing the 7, and she needs, it's almost like, I mean, what Dolls does is shitty, but he's also not wrong, because like Winona isn't anywhere near okay.
Well, and I realized it probably wasn't his fault. It was probably Black Badge required. But he could have defended her when things kind of went off the rails. He left her alone. It's not even the fact that she had to have the evaluation. It's that the person was asking questions that weren't expected, that weren't part of at least what Dolls knew was going to happen, and he just left her alone to deal with that. And Winona I don't think she thinks that they're going to be braiding friendship bracelets that night, but she at least thinks that he wouldn't have left her to deal with that alone.
I agree his misstep was not backing her up when the evaluation went off book.
Yeah, because at that point they weren't like trying to evaluate whether an agent was like in a mental state to go back to work. I think they were studying the air.
And trying to come up with leverage against her. And that's not cool.
Yeah, when it stopped being like an exercise in like help like evaluating her and started becoming like a witch hunt, that was when he should have stepped in.
Well, and then he says that she's not even a real deputy. Okay, buddy. It's like Buffy with the Watchers Council. Like, without her, they're just sitting around watching Masterpiece Theater. Like, you need her to get shit done there. To have any hope of eradicating the Revenants permanently, you need her. Like, do they forget that? Do they not care? I don't know. That especially was a real dick and 3/4 move.
I have a dumb question. And I'm just assuming at some point someone else is gonna have it, so I'm gonna throw it out for them. He was like, it's not the gun that kills them. What was he talking about? Her?
Yeah.
Well, or the bullets. I mean, it's not the gun that kills them, it's the bullets.
I think that he was making the point that because she's the one that's actually like pulling the trigger, she's killing people. And it was like a shitty thing to say, but it also cut right down to like the core, I think, of what Winona, down to the core of what's bothering Winona.
So he was using like guns don't kill people, people kill people, like to jab her right in the heart?
Yeah.
Because he didn't make her feel shitty enough.
Right. But I think it also like he's such a dick in this episode, but I also see where he's coming from. Like, he has absolutely no tact, but like Winona's really obviously like running from having to like digest stuff. And by throwing that out there, it just like cut through any like facade that she was like putting up for herself.
It was like this weird sense of protection because she was a loose cannon before this. So to be in this sort of mental state, like she's putting herself in danger, potentially.
Oh yeah, I don't think that like her getting put on probation or whatever, I don't see why that is like a bad thing. Like, I know that like from our viewpoint, because Winona's the main character where you're like pissed for her, but I mean, in any job, like she would be put on probation.
Okay, sorry. I lost my place in my notes. I know you're all shocked.
And it's not even like anyone is in there scrolling this time.
No, it's me being distracted by stupid shit. When Winona told Dolls that she wanted him to admit he cared about her, that was rough. It gave me a lot of squishy feelings.
Yeah, that was hard. And you know what? I realized this episode, like, we're 9 episodes in now. And, like, I know, going to Dragon Con and stuff and being like, oh, I do like Shamir. I don't even remember if he was there. Was he there?
He was.
Okay, I thought so. I'm sorry. But then I was like, yay, I like Dolls. But I'm not exactly sure when or if that ever actually happened. Because I don't like him. And I don't understand either how their, like, whole dynamic develops, with, like, the romance angle. And I mean, there were some jabs here, though, like, against Doc this episode, like, everyone always chooses the lawman. And, like, obviously they're talking about now and they're talking about before and his issues with Wyatt and his issues with her and the whole freaking her family thing. And I don't know, though. I don't remember when it is that I actually start to like Dolls.
I think it's when he stops working with Black Badge.
Yeah, I mean, that helps.
Or when Black Badge is dissolved. I don't know. I'm still not, I don't know. That's a conversation for several episodes ahead of time. He does not make it easy to like him. I like Shamir Anderson, and I think his portrayal of the character is amazing. But Dolls as a character does not make it easy, to like him.
Yeah, agreed.
So Pete shows up at the bar to hit on Waverly, and I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing anybody would wear that hat in Purgatory. I should have taken better notes. I'm just gonna say this.
What's with everyone wanting to hit on both sisters, like, back to back?
Nicole never did.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I do know what you mean. I mean, why not? I guess. But didn't Pete used to date Wynonna? No, Wynonna used to date his brother, and then slept with him, or did I mix them up?
Yeah, I think she was with him and slept with his brother.
Oh, my bad.
I don't know. Poor Pete. I can never remember him.
So I really felt like there was a lot of build-up to Clutie's sons, and then it just kind of fizzled. Like, oh, you don't know what kind of evil you're gonna have to face, and then she raises this, like, naked, janked-up baby man, and then he dies.
It's like the whole storyline just went up in flames.
Yeah, oh, God.
That was bad.
That was bad. Can you imagine, like, for that actor, like, his agent calls, like, congratulations, you got a part on this new show. Oh, great, tell me about the part. Well, you wake up as a naked demon with a jacked up face, and you probably have an Oedipus complex. Dialogue? No, mostly shrieking. Okay, great.
That storyline, it definitely completely just fizzled out. Like, they built it up to be, they built it up to like it was going to be an actual storyline. Instead, it was just a plot device for Boba to use a flamethrower.
Well, which is also fine.
I mean, yeah, I'm not against that.
I was just shocked again to remember that Tim Rozon was Massimo in Lost Girl. Like, how are they the same person? It's just, I don't know.
I love him on Schitt's Creek.
I do not watch that.
I think this is the only show that I've seen that has Tim in it.
You didn't watch Lost Girl?
I didn't finish Lost Girl.
But did you see him in it?
When was he in it?
He was Massimo? He was the, oh man, how do you even describe him? He was working with the Morgan and tricked Kenzie. She thought that he was giving her like fae powers, but it was, all a glamour.
I don't think that I got that far.
Okay. I hated his character with a burning passion.
Well, he was messing with Kenzie.
Well, Kenzie was also not my favorite. Well, and then there we lost all of our listeners. She wasn't. I mean, she was okay. She wasn't my favorite.
Too.
What?
I said you just lost one of your members too.
That's fine.
Nice.
Dr. Lauren Lewis was my favorite.
So before this podcast breaks up,
Dr. Hot Pants Forever. Sorry, God.
Wynonna Earp is a show that this podcast is about. Let's talk about that.
Because you guys never spiral about anything, but when I do it, it's breaking up the podcast.
I'm pretty sure that like everything you just said is like polar opposite from how BP feels.
100%.
So let's just run away from this conversation.
Speaking of running away,
less of a spiral and more of a cage match.
I mean, whatever. A lot of people feel the same way you do, BP, and that's cool. That's just not how I feel. I mean, I don't care what you think, but in a nice way.
No, I know what you mean. Asshole.
Yeah, have your own opinion. That's cool. So Doc's like trying to build up Wynonna and say how much faith he has in her, and then so Wynonna immediately turns it to sex. Because, she's more comfortable with that.
It's way less confusing.
I mean, I guess. All right, nothing on that. Let's move on.
I don't want to explain it to you.
Would you like me to draw you a picture? Nicole's scene in Nedley's office, and I've said this before about her this season, she just seems so young.
It really does.
So young, especially there. In other places too, but especially there. So young and naive. Like, even her voice seems higher. I don't know.
Oh yeah, her character is like aged a ton.
You kiss Waverly Earp, and then all of a sudden that puts 5 years on your life. One of my favorite scenes, like, silly scenes in the entire show is this like wacky misunderstanding scene between Nicole and Waverly, where they're talking about two different things. It's really, really difficult to write that kind of dialogue, I think, and to write that sort of story. And it is just done so well. And the music underscoring it is really cute and fun and matches it. And then, like, it stops, right before she says you're a lesbian, not a unicorn, or right after with the what? I don't know. I really love that scene.
It's
I do
so
too.
awkward.
I just love that they're having like the exact opposite conversation.
I just think it's really well done and smart, and I love things that are well done and smart.
It's really funny when you think about like the opposite side of the conversation, like in the context of what the other person thinks they're talking about.
Oh yeah, no, it's just so well done.
It really is.
And they did a great job. You can't just write that. Like, if the people who are doing it don't make that work.
It was just so many things about this scene were really great. And I really appreciated everybody involved to make that happen. Waverly thought she was being so smooth in talking to Nicole, too. And, instead she's just awkward and wishes she could have that entire conversation back.
I like how when like Waverly's just like, well, that conversation went poorly. Let me just walk out of town.
I mean, literally running away from your problems. I feel that.
Yeah.
So, these notes are ridiculous. One of my notes says, I have Bobo hair. You're welcome for that revelation, everyone. How do you think Clutie knows that Willa's alive? I know she knew still alive. She knew she was alive until she lost her. But how? Because she seems very certain that she's still alive. I'm curious about that.
Didn't she drop her off at
what's his face's sleepaway cult camp?
I don't remember what Duco.
No, right, Duco.
Okay, yeah.
I keep wanting to say Ezra. That's not. I know that's not right.
Ezra?
Yeah, Eli. What's his name? I don't know. I know. I think she didn't drop him off there. She didn't drop Willa off there. I thought Willa was still taken from her, or taken from the Swan house, and Clutie didn't know where she went.
I thought.
Or wait, because she says right. It kind of seems like Clutie dropped her off at cult sleepaway camp, but also she says she lost her and she doesn't know where she is. Right?
Yeah.
So if that's true and she doesn't know where she is, how does she know that Willa is alive?
Maybe some sort of. It might just be an assumption.
All right, that's fair.
Or maybe there's some sort of like built-in like clause and whatever spell she put on her to make her forget.
Oh, that's possible. I don't know how magic works. If any of you are witches or warlocks and can let us know how magic spells work, and if that is a possibility, please write in and let us know. The scene between Nedley and Dolls in Nedley's office is kind of where I start to really... Him offering to feed Calamity Jane was a good first step, but this scene really made me start to like him a lot more. But it really didn't do anything for my feelings about Dolls. Nothing positive, anyway.
No, I mean, this episode is just so bleh for Dolls. Like,
bleh or anger-inducing?
I didn't have as strong I don't feel as strongly, I think, or as negatively towards him after this episode as I think you do.
That's fair. I really like the scene with Waverly and Nicole in like near the cop car and in the cop car. Mostly because of Waverly and the faces that she's making before she gets in, and like the massive side eye.
Yep.
Waverly's telling her what's frustrating her, but also is standing up for what she wants and is like, we're not together. Stop acting like we are. It's good. She's not just doing whatever this person who likes thinks that she should do, and I think that's good for her character.
Oh yeah, definitely a huge improvement from how she was with Champ.
Ugh. I wish that I could have a ringtone of Tim Rozon as Doc Holliday saying Bobo Del Rey over and over again.
No one can say that name
No.
as well as Tim.
I mean, and I love how he says Winona's name. I just, all of them are great.
What else happens in this episode? Yay!
Yay! So I guess Shorty's does have coffee.
I thought about that like the whole time. I was like, oh god, now the Mr. Coffee in the freaking sheriff's department broke, so they'll have to go to Shorty's, but who knows if that one works.
I didn't mention this earlier, but I really liked the line, "You drink my hooch, you call me Randy." And then Dahl says his name is Xavier, and Nedley's like, oh, never mind.
Let's just go with what we know.
Right. That scene is a really good example of who are your two favorite characters in this show, whoever's on screen at the time. Everyone together is just, I don't know, is just so good. I enjoy it. I again probably should have made better notes, but I'm just gonna read this. I liked Constance and Wynonna chatting it up in lady time.
Wait, what?
So when Doc and Wynonna have Clutie in the barn, and Doc's sort of off to the side, and just Clutie and Wynonna are talking to each other, I liked their interaction with each other. I think that's what I meant by chatting it up in lady time.
So you read it because you're not exactly sure even what you meant?
I read it because I was like, wow, Monica, you really have a way with phrasing. That's hilarious.
That's got some signature sizzle on it.
What can I say? I did just have my hair done. I liked that the two of them were kind of talking about stuff and hashing it out. But man, Tim Rozon killed me in this scene. Because when he asks if Wyatt came looking for him, and his like lip trembles and his stash, I thought that was really powerful, and it really hit me.
That like gutted me again watching it this time. I really I love that we finally got the truth about what happened to Doc, and I feel like it is like how he kind of like gives up after that, and like he's like, oh, I'm gonna get my revenge and stuff, because like the like burning hatred for Clutie is like what kept him going all this time, and then finding out that like all of his torment wasn't even about him. Like he was just somebody's puppet to torture his best friend with. I mean, I don't know, I just love the story, and I like that Wynonna saves him from himself.
I agree. I mean, all along, Doc Holliday just wanted Wyatt's forgiveness and wanted to matter. He wanted Wyatt to come back and try and make things right. And that, God, how much he thought about that over the last 140 years in the well. It's heartbroken. It's heartbreaking. It really is. And yeah, Wynonna saves him. Someone who thinks she's not smart or good came up with a really good plan to save her friend.
She's good with loopholes. That was fun.
Yeah. Okay, so now we have the scene in Nedley's office with Nicole and Waverly. And I think that this fandom has discussed this scene so much, no one wants to hear us go on and on about it. But I will say, it was a great scene. It was a great first kiss. Determined Waverly is so sweet and so real, and how she opens herself up to Nicole, I thought was really nice. It's sweet and it's also kind of sexy, and it's also, I don't know, I really like this scene. I thought it was really well written, really well done, really well shot and acted, and it's just, I don't know, I have watched this particular scene a lot, and it gives me a lot of feelings every time I watch it. It's, their relationship has had a nice build up over several episodes, and this was the payoff, and I thought it was really, really great.
I really like that Gus, well, it was in this episode because it's Gus, but I really like how she, like, I don't know how to word it, but like she took like the last little bit of like what was holding Waverly back, like took that weight off her shoulders, and like now that Waverly isn't necessarily quote unquote tied down to like shorties like she had been, like her character growth just skyrockets past this point.
No, I agree. I thought, Gus kind of giving her approval, whether Waverly knew she wanted or needed it or not. It was, it was a sweet scene, and it was the final push that she needed to go after what she wanted. And, we don't see Gus a lot, but Gus sees everything, I guess. How long has she known that this has been going on?
She's best friends with Kirsten. They talk.
That's right. She and Nedley gossip every night, like, oh, well, I saw them in the break room getting coffee. I thought it was cute. I thought it was a nice scene. I'm also curious what Waverly ended up doing with the money that Gus gave her.
That's a really good question.
That is a really, really good question. That must be how they're buying all the gas for the generator.
We finally solved it. No, I have a feeling we'll see that maybe next season, hell, or even the season after. I think this is one of those threads that hasn't been forgotten, just maybe abandoned for a little while. I really thought that Waverly was going to buy shorties in season 2. Before we saw season 2, I thought she'd use that money to buy the bar back. But I think it was definitely a more interesting choice to have Doc become the proprietor. Yeah, sorry, I skipped over a handful of my notes. I had notes on that scene, and Michelle, so thank you for bringing that up. I don't know what happened there. I'm bad at reading, I guess.
I have a question. I actually read a couple reviews after watching to just kind of get myself back in the headspace, and I had some questions like, where was Waverly going when she was walking? Like, nowhere.
And where she just decided to walk out of town.
Yeah. I don't know where she was going, but apparently she had to be at work, so there was that. But then immediately she leaves work to go to Nedley's office. So her, just specifically the time frame of her day was very confusing for me.
Yeah, that's all fair. I never thought about it.
I didn't think of the timeline of her day, but that's a lot.
Yeah, she goes to the sheriff's office, right? And then they have a conversation, and then a little bit later she's just walking into nowhere. And then she's at work, and then 5 seconds later she's at the station. But how long was she at work? 30 minutes? Did she just leave? I don't know. It was a little disruptive. Once I thought about it afterwards, I was like, oh, well, that was weird.
Well, technically, she had just won the lottery, so she was like, I've been at work for 2 minutes. I don't care.
I'm out.
I mean, that's fair. But she was definitely walking really, really far out of town. If she had to be at work,
I don't know. Sometimes you just have to go into work late because you were having a moment and decided to walk 10 miles.
Who hasn't done that?
I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Oh, wait, yes, I can. None.
Sometimes when you're really frustrated, though, you need to go and work out some aggression. Now, a slow ambling walk.
I would drive.
A slow ambling walk through the prairie wouldn't necessarily be my choice. For instance, today I cleaned out my car and went to the gym. I didn't do a slow stroll through the streets of Pittsburgh. But whatever, no judgment. Whatever Waverly's doing is obviously working for her. And how did Nicole find her?
Yeah, that's the part I don't quite
Doesn't
get.
matter. It was a great scene.
She has a GPS on her. Who knows?
I also wanted to mention the when Doc wraps the gallows silk around Clutie's wrists. I really liked the special effect where it looked like it turned into barbed wire.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was super cool. And, a little thing that wasn't even necessarily necessary, right? But was really, really cool, and I really liked it.
Yeah, it would have been fine if that didn't happen, but I'm with you. Like, it really added something to the context of the scene overall.
And I really like that it's what, oh geez, the blacksmith.
Maddie?
Yeah, I like that it brought her character back.
Yeah, I agree. It was a nice throwback to her.
Kind of like she didn't die from listening.
Yep. I think we're losing BP. What do you think she said? Kind of like she didn't die from
She didn't die for nothing.
Oh, yes, I agree with that.
That makes more sense than the word salad that I was hearing. Dolls redeems himself some at the end of this here episode. He got Winona reinstated, but I don't know. It was good. It was like 17 steps back and 3 steps forward for me.
Yeah.
And
he's meh. I'm pretty indifferent towards him.
Yeah. I agree.
And he used his work to try to demonstrate his care for her, and to me that's even more annoying than just not caring. I know he does care, but either, on or off, man. I don't know, it's weird.
I also noticed that his number showed up differently when he called versus when he texted, but I guess it's possible that he could have called from a landline.
A what?
A landline? From
What's that? No.
Because it showed up once as Dolls and showed up once as Dolls BBD.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it was the office line. I'm just messing with you.
All right, well, whatever. Consistency. No, fine. He was probably calling from another number, but I just happened to notice it. That's all.
Maybe he has a personal and work cell.
Maybe. Maybe that's how you and Dolls are exactly the same.
No, thank you.
Maybe you're a dragon. No one knows for sure.
I wouldn't be against that.
I don't know. The medication regimen seems really rough.
That's true.
What else? What else do you guys have to say about this episode?
I really liked it.
Oh, yeah. It was a great episode.
I love when Doc and how do you pronounce that? I don't know. I love Winona and Doc. I do. They're so freaking complicated, and they really are they're not even two sides of the same coin. They're just the same coin. But I think they bring out, I think they see the good in each other when they have the opportunity, and I think they push each other to be better, and not in that weird, I can't do it without you sense, but if you are here, I like who I am more, or other people like who I am more, because you're raising me to another level. And I love their dynamic. I don't like they started kind of trying to do the weird triangle thing, especially in season 2. And I know you have to have drama and whatever, but I like that relationship a lot. I think second to the sisters, that's my favorite.
I think for me, part of the reason why I care about their relationship is because it's not only a romantic relationship. There's so much more. There's so much more there than even them having a kid together, or them, sleeping together, or them being a couple. There's just so many layers to this relationship, and it's so fascinating. And the actors are so good together and have such great chemistry and are so good at playing off of each other. Everything about them is amazing.
Just from the character standpoint, both of them are trying so hard to simultaneously abandon and yet work through their own history, which a lot has to do with the Earp family itself, and they kind of come together in that aspect. And have some answers for each other to a certain degree, and I just feel like they kind of help each other heal. Like, the more that he helps her, the more that he, you know, kind of mends fences with Wyatt, and the more that she is, like, connected to her past, the more that she's able to do what she has to do in front of her.
I think the best relationships on this show are the ones where they make each other better. And that they're, you know what I mean? Like, we're not out of obligation. It's just sort of, it just happens. And this is the best example of, or one of the best examples of that. That's one of the great things about Winona and Waverly together as well. You know, they're both so concerned with the well-being of the other, and they both make each other better people. Maybe not. Am I here by myself?
Oh, no, sorry. I'm here.
I wonder if we lost BP again. Well, we're still recording. Do you have anything? Since I do think we may have lost her. Is there anything else you want to add on this, Michelle?
No, I mean, you guys pretty much covered it with those last 2 points.
Oh, what's that sound mean? BP, are you back or did you leave? I think
she's gone now.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you want to say about this episode or any other future episode that you know is coming up, please tweet at or DM us at ERPsplainPod. You can leave us a voicemail at 678-871-0098. I hope everybody is really impressed right now. Or you can email us at there's something in the air. Nope, that's a lie. You can email us at somethingintheair@gmail.com.
Were we actually done?
Yes, I'm in the middle of the outro.
No, I hear you doing it, but I didn't know if you just started it because I bailed and you were trying to be nice. Like, I didn't want you to do that.
No, we came to the end unless there was anything else you wanted to throw in.
Did we have any listener feedback or anything?
Oh, shit, we did. Sorry.
I'll put it in wherever. Go ahead and read it.
But I feel like we can just restart the outro.
Okay.
Was it that bad, or like, don't you want to leave it and I can just move it?
I didn't finish it.
Oh, that's even better.
Because in the middle of it, you said, "Are we done?"
Well, you paused, so I was like, well, this seems as good as any. Like, I heard you saying it, but you, like, fucked up the email, and then you said it, and I was like, okay, she's pausing. Like, let me just jump in, because I wanted you guys to go back to the conversation, like, if there's anything else to say.
You can include this in our bonus content, in our outtakes.
Outtakes, yeah, faux show.
We did have one person who wrote in with listener feedback, and that is at Tacos Are Tasty. I'm unsure how to pronounce her name, and there are a lot of emojis in it, so I'm just going to go with at Tacos_Are Tasty. She talks about the music, Mel's moves, hot damn, what an opening. I love the parallel here. Later, Winona is the one taking care of Doc so he wouldn't kill himself in order to kill the witch, and here is taking care of her. He lets us know during the talk, while they're in the bathroom, he still doesn't believe he's a good man, and she doesn't believe she is good either. And then she talks a little bit about the hero entrance with her walking in the coffee, which we all agree with, I think. Dolls was a dickhead. Yes, I agree. He did not have Winona's back, and he barely redeemed himself by the end of the episode. Loved that the psychiatrist asked Winona when was the last time she had sex. Now that we know she slept with the Revenant from season 2, it could have been a throwaway line, but as we know, nothing is random when Emily is behind it. That is a really, really good point. The miscommunication between Waverly and Nicole was written brilliantly, and bless Gus with her words of wisdom. One last thing, I did jot Fancy Doc's My Women line. Oh, sorry. I did not fancy Doc's My Women line, nor the way he shuts up Winona afterwards, even if she was out of line there. Can't end this without saying, and it should always be repeated, overall, Mel's performance was amazing yet again. I felt what she was feeling just through those facial expressions. So thank you very much for writing in. I think it's Mika. Could be Micah. I'm unsure. But either way, thank you for sending us that feedback. We agree. We appreciate it.
Sometimes I wonder why we talk instead of just like reading a minute of a recap and them being correct and us not needing to say anything.
because, that's where the good stuff is sometimes. Sometimes we say fun things.
Where the magic happens.
That's right. It is pretty magical. Anything else to throw in about this episode?
I don't think so. We're coming into that home stretch, which is pretty awesome. Like, from here on out, this season, like, is really something to look forward to. And I'm glad for us to get to those over the next couple months.
I agree. I'm really looking forward to the next episode. Like, really looking forward.
I don't know why. It's not like anything super important happened.
No, nothing at all. Definitely
like
not a
the entire
thing.
mythology gets a shakeup or something. What?
Definitely not the thing that you're like, oh my god, I knew it, and yet am so totally, completely blindsided at the same time. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. If you have any feedback on this episode or any other episode that is forthcoming, you can tweet at or DM us at ErpsplainPod, which is where you can also find us on Twitter. You can email us at somethinginair@gmail.com. You can call us and leave us a voicemail at BP.
Or not.
You can call us or leave us a voice. You can call and leave us a voicemail at 678-871-0098. You can find BP, which we would love to find right now, but don't know where she is. You can find her on Twitter at Beep33TV or at Erp Your Fandom for Winona Earp content. You can find me, Monica, at Lesbianzer on Twitter.
And you can find me, Michelle, at McNick1291. And then you can find pretty much all of this information on our website, erpsplainpod.com. That has a link to our shop and Patreon. And yes.
Did you like this podcast? You can rate and review us over at iTunes. And if you did enjoy this podcast and you would like to rate and review us, we would really appreciate it. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm salty that someone left us another 1-star review without explaining why. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. And remember, it may be a shit show, but it's our shit show.